And we continue at 1:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Culver City.
John, we have an update on the BART outage in Hayward. It turns out the equipment failure was due to vandalism. When I hear vandalism, I think copper wire theft.
It's happened yet again.
But don't tell Hugo Soto Martinez, because then he'll get mad at you for trying to put him in jail.
You know, let's criminalize catalytic converters. Let's criminalize copper.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. He is the author of the best-selling book, Taxifornia, available online at Amazon.com. He's a former official in the Reagan administration. You can get him online at capoliticalreview.com and follow him on X at James V. Lacy1. Jim Lacy, welcome.
Thank you very much, John. It's a pleasure to be with you today. And I really appreciated everything you had to say earlier with Randy about Xavier Becerra. It reminded me of a quote from Everett Dirksen, the former famous minority leader of the Republicans in the Senate, who was once quoted as saying, "A billion here, a billion there, and pretty soon you're talking real money." Becerra led the HHS, which is the largest agency in the federal government. In 2024, HHS spent over $1.7 trillion. That's over 25% of the federal budget, John. And you know what? $225,000 here, $225,000 there. Pretty soon you're talking about a little money. If he couldn't take care of his own campaign funds, what the hell did he do with that $1.7 trillion?
Well, I don't even know what to believe, because I could see it both ways. I could see him saying to himself, okay, this is my chief of staff. He's been with me a long time. The state of California pays more than the federal government. What does that tell you? And for him to come with me, he's going to have to take a pay cut. So I don't have a problem if he skims a little off the dormant campaign account so that he'll pack up and move east and come with me and perform the job I want him to perform. I could very easily see that happening, even though that would be a violation of the Hatch Act, because you're not supposed to spend political money. I could also see it going the other way, which is he is so aloof and he is such an absentee landlord that he just signs anything that they put in front of him and doesn't pay attention to any details. I was told a story that he just filed some document that he is not legally allowed to file because his bar license has lapsed. And he's not a legal, lawful practicing attorney in California, and he didn't seem to know that either.
Oh, my God. Well, I think it's probably what you would say the latter, because just signing anything put in front of him or asking someone else or a machine to sign what was ever put in front of it would be consistent with the Biden administration's actions. But it's that the governor's race is totally and completely messed up, like you guys said earlier. Looking at the Republican side of it, I'd really like to see a Republican have a chance, right? But in order to do that, you've really got to corner the Republican support. And last time I looked, there are 13 candidates that have signed up to run for governor, or who are going to use on their ballot title that they're members of the Republican Party. That's not good news for Hilton or for Bianco going into the general election. The only thing that's kind of holding them in there is a little bit of name identification and the fact that everything is so messed up on the Democrat side. Last time you kindly had me on your show, we talked a little bit about Katie Porter. Since then, you're right, we have had this Betty Yee thing where she made these stupid comments to Pierce Morgan, not really reflecting or understanding the gender issues that I think would be prevalent in California. And now we have this situation with Swalwell jumping in, and he's got so much baggage. It's just incredible to think that. I mean, it must be that he didn't learn anything running for president and getting nowhere. And so now he wants to be governor, and he gives all this BS that the Democrat, Ted Lieu gives the same BS. I was in the green room of CNN when you and I were doing some work. You were doing professional work for CNN International. And Ted Lieu said, if California were its own nation, it would have the sixth largest economy in the world. And now Swallow's taken it up to the fourth largest economy in the world. But they don't own the rest of it, John. They don't own the rest that if it was the fourth largest nation in the world, it would have the highest poverty rate among industrialized nations. We'd have higher poverty rates than the United Kingdom, France, and Germany, because that's what California is. California is no beacon of hope for this nation or for the globe because of what these Democrats have done. California exists as a fine place in spite of the fact, that they can't take away our mountains and trees and beautiful neighborhoods except by choking off water and acting incompetently so that we have fires in the Palisades and Altadena.
You have been very active in the fight against Proposition 50, which was passed overwhelmingly by voters here in California. Since then, judges have thrown out the new map in Texas, and there are legal battles that are facing Proposition 50 here in California. What is your take on those battles and those efforts? Do you think what happened in Texas will make it easier for a judge in California to look at this map and say, okay, if the judges threw out the Texas map, we're going to throw out the one in California too, and maybe give them a little extra push that they wouldn't otherwise have had?
I definitely think that. I'm not so certain that the Department of Justice does. I want to applaud the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, which came in and made a motion to intervene. Actually, it's called a complaint and intervention in the California GOP's case to try and have Proposition 50 declared unconstitutional because of some evidence that's on the record that they used race in creating some of the districts. And there's a 999-page document that the Department of Justice filed in the California case that establishes without a doubt evidence that District 13, that's up in the Stockton area, 13 is not a really good number for the Democrats, that District 13 used racial gerrymandering because in the creation of it, there's testimony in the record that they wanted to create a dominant Hispanic Latino district, but they overlooked a group of white Democrats in a certain area around Stockton and they pushed that out and reached out to a GOP area that happened to have had a lot of Latinos. Now, in doing that, they demonstrated that there was a racial motivation for creating that district. They wanted to create a Latino dominant district, and that's illegal under the 14th Amendment, the 15th Amendment, the Voting Rights Act, and the Constitution of the United States. There's case law, it's kind of stunning, that says that the Supreme Court isn't going to have any problem if a state legislature goes in and creates a map that's like that maximizes Republican support or maximizes Democratic support. But if you go in, they'll say that that's constitutional. But if you go in and you try to intentionally create black districts at the expense of other voters or Hispanic districts at the expense of other voters, particularly in a state like California that doesn't have any history at all of discrimination in the creation of partisan lines, you've got a problem. So to go back to what you originally said, yes, I think that the Texas case is trouble for Prop 50 in California, which is great. I'd like to see the Texas Republican Party have their lines, but it was a 3-judge panel that made the decision. And if that decision is divergent from the California decision, so in other words, if the federal court in California decides to even uphold Newsom's Prop 50, then you're going to have a divergence of opinion between courts in 2 different jurisdictions, and it's going to have to go to the Supreme Court. In my opinion, the Supreme Court is going to veer in favor of finding racial gerrymandering because that's been a big issue for them. in making change. And I think that Proposition 50 is in trouble.
If you're Gavin Newsom, does that even matter? And I say that because I think that Prop 50 was more about positioning himself and framing himself as the chief foe of Donald Trump and not of altering the balance of power in Congress. I think he could care less about that. And this is all about elevating him to being a man of national stature.
Okay. I disagree with you, John, respectfully. Now, we're going to know a lot more because the crucial hearing on Prop 50 is going to be in the federal court on December 3rd. And they're not quite sure if it's going to be before one judge or if a motion will be approved to push it right up to Pasadena to the 3-court panel. But here's the problem I see for Newsom. Newsom can try to walk away from it politically, but you have to remember, John, they raised and spent $170 million on that initiative. If that initiative goes down and it's kaput, and we go back to the 2021 lines of the California Redistricting Commission, and if you were somebody that gave, $5, $10 million, $20 million, wouldn't you be pissed? And you know what you should be pissed about, if I can use that word, that they wrote the lines to do racial gerrymandering, because they certainly could have written the lines in a way that helped the Democratic Party, but that didn't do discrimination on the basis of race. So I think it's going to be, I'm not so certain that his donor base is just going to let him off the hook. I think they're going to think twice about his judgment.
We're speaking with Jim Lacy, who you can get online at capoliticalreview.com and follow on X at James V. Lacy1. Jim, what do you think the relationship is like right now between the former Vice President Kamala Harris and California Governor Gavin Newsom? And I say that because right now it's looking as if the two of them, who have taken gone great lengths throughout their careers to avoid running against one another as they came up through the ranks of San Francisco politics and then in California politics, where they may be competitors in the same race for the first time in the Democratic nomination for the presidency in 2028. And I asked this question because of two things that have popped up recently, three things actually. One is in Kamala Harris's book, she talks about calling Gavin Newsom as a courtesy after Joe Biden dropped out of the race and she secured his endorsement, and she believed that she secured the endorsement of enough delegates to secure the Democratic Party nomination. She said he sent her to voicemail and never returned the phone call, and still hasn't returned the phone call. It's not even that it happened. It's that she made it a point to put it in the book to give him a little slap in the face, to knock him down a notch or two. The second thing that popped up that leads me to believe there's trouble in River City is when you follow the case against the former chief of staff of Gavin Newsom, Dana Williamson, who's been accused of corruption and is facing potentially 20 years behind bars. She came out and said that when she was initially approached by the FBI, that she was told by the FBI that she was not the target of the investigation, that Gavin Newsom was. And it's easy to say, okay, well, Donald Trump's the president, Gavin Newsom's being targeted. It's political. No. When you look at the calendar, this happened when it was a Biden-Harris Justice Department. That's when the FBI started knocking on doors, telling people that Gavin Newsom was the subject of their investigation. And the third thing is that Gil Duran, who is a former top aide to Kamala Harris, recently reacted to the news of Dana Williamson being arrested. And boy, did he spike the football. He called her a nasty woman. He said that Gavin Newsom and Jerry Brown and others should experience shame for hiring this woman in the first place. He compared her to a mafia boss and said that Dana Williamson once called a prospective employer of his, turns out to be Tom Steyer, and said, if you hired this man, you were dead to Gavin Newsom for all of eternity. when you put all of those things together, it doesn't seem like a very happy relationship between Gavin and Kamala. It doesn't even seem like they're frenemies. It seems like those two have decided, whether it's new or old, I don't know, they don't like each other. Your thoughts?
I think you're right. I think they probably don't like each other. I think that they have a rivalry. But in my opinion, if you stack the two up against each other, I don't think you just dismiss them. I don't just dismiss them as two liberal politicians that are unskilled. I think when you look at Newsom and you see how aggressive he's been recently, when you look at his life has been a very interesting life. He's been successful in business. He truly has. Harris hasn't. He's overcome addiction. We don't know if Harris has an addiction or not. He's taken risks. Prop 50 was a risk. And if it's upheld, it's going to end up being a pretty good risk for him. He's done things like debated the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. He talks with Sean Hannity, who's positive to an extent about Charlie Kirk. And then you compare that to, Kamala Harris, who's basically been spoon-fed the jobs that she's had over time. She really is an example of a DEI hire. People defer to her, because of the fact of identity politics in the Democratic Party. And look at how she screws up again and again. She had an awful campaign. It spent $1.5 billion, and she didn't win one swing state. She must have terrible advisors who thought that the way to get her elected was, they were almost like Hollywood promoters, like they were promoting the movie Get Me to the Greek as opposed to trying to get her elected president. She did terrible on The View. She admitted that there wasn't any policy difference that she might bring forward. And I think when you match the two up, it reminds me of a famous quote by Hunter S. Thompson during the 1972 presidential election. That goes way back, where Thompson said, sending Richard Nixon to run against McGovern is kind of like sending a wolverine out to fight a three-toed sloth. I just believe that if they get into a situation where it's a whatever gender she wants to claim, but we'll just say if it becomes mono or mono, I think he's going to just totally rip her apart. I think he's a better candidate for the Democrats than she is. She's run, she's lost. The Democrats' own identity politics isn't that great with white men, and he's a white man. So, I'm not in favor of his politics. Don't get me wrong, and I hope that I'm not setting off any of your devoted listeners here by sounding like I'm going soft on him. But you asked the question, I give you an honest answer. I think that he's just going to crush her.
Jim Lacy, author of the book Taxifornia, available online at Amazon.com. You can read him online at capoliticalreview.com and follow him on X at JamesVLacy1. Jim Lacy, thanks so much for stopping by. Have a great weekend.
You got it. Happy Thanksgiving, too. Bye-bye.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, now that we've crossed the halfway point of today's show, if you were to continue listening to us after we sign off at 3, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. That could be the Apple Podcast app. A lot of people use that. It's that purple button on your iPhone. You can do iHeartRadio, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. You can do a Google on the YouTube. They all end up there somehow. You can get the free KABC app. You can get the free KSFO app. You can also get the free KMJ Now app because we're on that station in the Central Valley Saturdays at 2. There are so many different ways to listen live to our radio stations and download all the podcasts. And if you listen to 15 hours a week of this show, you definitely will be smarter than the average California voter.
No, I don't know enough to give you any good information, but good luck finding someone who does.
Let's go to Paul in Dublin. Paul, hello.
Hey, John. John, I moved to Dublin, California from Oakland in 1993. And Dublin used to be a pleasant, quiet, almost pastoral-type place of about 28,000 people. Today, after unchecked development, it's like 56,000. And the city council over the last 25 years has just made a mess of this place. It's really sad. My point is that Swalwell was on the Dublin City Council from December of 2010 until he took his seat in Congress in 2013. So I hold him at least partially responsible for the mess of this town. My point being, I hope he never gets to be governor. It's bad enough that he's my congressman. I just hope and pray he's never the governor.
Did you ever interact with him in Dublin?
I think I saw him at a parade once, but I never talked to him. I did. I corresponded once about something, and that was all.
Well, my guess is if you were a Chinese spy, he'd get to know you real well.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. All right. It's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
It's happened yet again.
I see. Time for the California Crime Blotter.
And Randy, this one involves the boy band Bandit.
In Irvine, they're looking for a porch pirate that is strikingly similar in looks to a Backstreet Boy.
What do you think would happen to this guy if he was caught stealing a package off of Katie Porter's porch?
Oh, I think we know the hammer would come down.
Would the hammer come down, or would he just be held in captivity as a sex slave?
How come every time we even start to do this story, you take it down a really dark road?
He could be the male version of J.C. Lee Dugard.
All right, there's no good way to segue this. Here's Fox 11 News.
New 10 Irvine police are calling this thief the Backstreet Boys burglar. He was caught on...
Now there's some alliteration.
Christine Devine bringing the high heat.
He was caught on video following an Amazon driver into a secured apartment mailroom and taking packages. Let's go live to Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf in Irvine with more. Matthew?
Well, Christine, Backstreet is back. Packages...
Oh, boy. Sometimes I feel like local news needs to have kind of just a place to blow off steam after like days in a row of rain coverage. So, yeah, they got to have some fun with this one.
Well, Christine, Backstreet is back. Packages keep getting stolen from this apartment complex, and police really want to catch this guy. The lookalike package thief in Irvine, police are calling the Backstreet Bandit.
How do the Backstreet Boys feel about this?
My guess is none of them watch the news.
He's not wearing a Backstreet Boys shirt. He just kind of looks like a boy band member.
Now I'm going to have to Google this to find out what the guy looks like.
He definitely resembled one of the Backstreet Boys in that band.
Here's a picture of him and his apparent doppelganger, A.J. McLean.
Okay, I'm looking at the picture now. That's being very generous.
Look, Irvine doesn't get a lot of crime, so they kind of got to spruce up anything they do get.
Okay, what do you call those little hats that Samuel L. Jackson always wears?
I have no idea.
Because it looks like he's got one of those on backwards.
Here's a picture of him and his apparent doppelganger, A.J. McLean. Authorities say he followed a delivery driver into an apartment complex off Spectrum, appearing calm, confident, and larger than life.
I want it that way. We were talking about how Backstreet's back, and...
Is this a real story? We're just trying to throw in as many references as we can for a boy band from 30 years ago.
Who's stealing packages?
I want it that way. We were talking about how Backstreet's back and the mail's out, but we definitely want our own mail, and we want that back.
The building requires a key to get in, but the doors are open so much it really doesn't matter. And these burglaries, they keep happening.
Probably stole my factor meals, too. Somebody stole my meals.
So you're missing some?
Yeah.
Someone stole his factor meals. Oh, no.
Well, that'll come in handy for the Backstreet Boy Bandit when he's on tour.
Probably stole my factor meals, too. Somebody stole my meals.
So you're missing some?
Yeah, I was missing some stuff. They took my food, so he was a pretty big guy. He'd been eating my protein.
And now we're left.
He's not going to like that. Those boy band members are supposed to stay thin.
He's stealing prepackaged meals? This is getting weirder.
Well, when you're looking at a box, you don't know what's in the box. You just steal the box.
Some stuff. They took my food, so he was a pretty big guy. He'd been eating my protein.
And now,
That guy's going to be lacking in macros.
and now we're left with Mr. Package Thief over here.
And right now with the peak season, it's probably going to get worse.
An anonymous delivery driver blames the thefts on other carriers who leave packages outside lockers.
If you go there, they're
Yeah, I don't know how you deal with if you live in an apartment building or a place that's just got one of those mail centers and you're obsessed with Amazon and you're ordering every 10 seconds.
Well, when they deliver a package to my house, they just leave it out on the porch. They don't put it behind a locking wall or a locking gate.
Sometimes there's so many packages, I can't even get to the front door.
You know what I think it is that prevents theft from going on in my neighborhood?
What's that?
All of the Karens in my HOA. There's just an army of Karens that exist in my neighborhood. And anytime someone thinks about violating a rule, let alone a law, they're on you like white on rice.
there are 50 packages outside.
Wait, why are we now playing other songs from the late 90s and early 2000s? What is going on?
Yeah, that's not the Backstreet Boys.
No.
About 2 months ago, Irvine PD shared video of another package thief at the same apartment synced to a Vanessa Carlton song.
Okay, so the Irvine PD has a lot of free time on their hands, so they are making meme videos of package thieves to songs from the TRL era.
Okay, so what's coming up next? They're going to tell everyone in this neighborhood to join the Neighborhood Watch program so that everyone in your neighborhood is in sync.
Synced to a Vanessa Carlton song. It got more than 650,000 views and led to her arrest.
All right. Hey, success. You got to take it wherever you can get it.
Hey, if it works, do it.
And just make it entertaining for our community, which really generates more reach. And that's what we're really trying to do. We're trying to identify this person so that we can...
Irvine PD has so little to do. Their main task is trying to go viral.
Well, it looks like they're doing a good job at it.
Hey, it is the safest city in the country.
Trying to identify this person so that we can stop this from happening again.
In just hours, the Backstreet burglar has already been watched more than 100,000 times.
Okay, so the only reason they're calling him the Backstreet burglar is because they're trying to get attention.
Yeah, they're trying to brand him so people do the story like us.
And it's worth it. I mean, it worked. Matt Seedorf went all the way from West LA down the 405 for 50 miles to get to Irvine to cover this story.
When this guy gets caught, by the way, he is going to be embarrassed beyond belief. You're a grown man who looks like a boy band member, and you're stealing prepackaged meals off of someone's porch.
In just hours, the Backstreet burglar has already been watched more than 100,000 times.
Disgusting, actually.
Residents fed up, saying, "Don't come back again."
I'm hungry right now, man. I'm missing out on my meals, dude. So hopefully they can catch him soon.
You know, we are getting to a point where there is going to be a certain portion of the population that orders all their food via DoorDash and Grubhub and meal prep services. They don't actually know how to go shopping.
Oh, no. No, that guy you can tell is going to lose a ton of weight because he has no idea how to adapt.
That woman from the Vanessa Carlton video was identified within 24 hours and arrested. Police are hoping for that same result again. Reporting live tonight, Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
What band are they going to use next?
Well, I wonder if when this guy gets older, they're going to cast him on Dancing with the Stars. Let's take some phone calls and go to Ryan in Newbury Park. Ryan, hello.
Hey, John, I got a real quick one for you. I live in an apartment where people take packages all the time. So I'm lucky enough that I'm a small business owner. So I changed my mailing address to my business, and now my packages don't get stolen anymore.
Prevented all of it from happening overnight.
Well, yeah, basically, yes. Like, now no one can steal my packages.
All right. Well, there you go. Good advice. Thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate it. Let's go to Armando in L.A. Armando, hello.
Hey, John. Kind of wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Yeah, thank you. You were talking about electing a Republican governor in California. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But, I mean, not ever, but I mean in the near future. Because if you look at Proposition 50, right, look at the numbers that it passed by. It was a landslide. And who were the resistance? The Republicans with their TV ads and everything they could throw at you. I just don't see it in the future for Republicans to try to, become governor in California. It just doesn't seem possible. Not right now, based on, who's running the country. He keeps sabotaging, his own party. So it's crazy. Anyway, that's my thought. Randy, you have a great Thanksgiving, too.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Thank you for the call, sir. And he's right. It certainly is a tough putt, given the voter registration numbers in California. The last time Republicans elected a governor or any statewide official was 2006, when Arnold Schwarzenegger did it as governor and Steve Poizner did it as insurance commissioner. All of that being said, there are states that have an even bigger imbalance in registration that still elect Republican governors. Look at places like Maryland. Maryland is a heavily Democratic state, and they had Larry Hogan as a two-term governor. Look at Vermont. Vermont is a heavily Democratic state. I think they currently have a Republican governor. So it is possible. It's not probable, and it's not easy, but it's possible. It just takes the electorate to get fed up enough with the government they receive from their current office holders.
Should we check in with the electorate right now?
No, I don't know enough to give you any good information, but good luck finding someone who does.
And that's why we are where we are.
It's one of my favorite drops.
All right, Randy, it's time to reopen the blotter.
It's happened yet again.
It's Wild Wild West out here.
It's the California Crime Blotter with John
and Randy.
And Randy, this one involves a very bad boy tagger.
Somebody trashed an entire neighborhood in San Diego with a spray can. For more, here's NBC7 in San Diego.
A college area neighborhood is cleaning up after an overnight tagger damaged several properties. This happened overnight last weekend. NBC7's Dave Summers is speaking with the residents who fear there may be more to come.
Sunday morning, the people living in the Ladorna Street neighborhood woke up to orange-painted tags on their vehicles, streets, and fences. Some far more threatening, like the N-word strung across Ashley Papa's fence.
My goodness.
Oh, my. Can you imagine waking up one morning to find your entire neighborhood tagged in orange? And then let's say your gate or your car is tagged with the N-word on it? Can you imagine driving around town in that?
Really can't.
What is anybody gaining by doing something like that? We're in 2025. Why are those words even being used?
Papa was working overnight Saturday. Neighbor Holly Janelle brought it to her attention.
I don't think people realize what's actually going on in our neighborhood.
At least 10 nearby locations were tagged. It was reported on the city's Get It Done app and then cleaned up. Others took care.
But nobody got busted, huh?
San Diego is quickly becoming the next LA.
Well, and there's plenty of problems in the city, and the city council's answer to all of them is more taxes.
Others took care of it themselves.
Who's doing this, do you think? I have no idea. I really hope it's not the college students.
Papa and Janelle live on opposite sides of this alley, which appears to be the center of all this tagging.
It may not look it, but this narrow alleyway that's barely paved is a major thoroughfare. Neighbors say there's always cars coming and going through here and speeding. A lot of people walking through here as well. People who don't want to be on the main roads or be detected.
The day before, someone broke into a car Papa's son drives. They broke the handle and left parts on the ground.
Oh, come on.
Okay, let's say they tagged your car with that word on it, and you call the body shop that is going to remove it, and you tell them, I need this taken off my car. And they say, okay, just drive it down here right now. We're on the opposite side of downtown. Just drive through downtown at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we'll take it right off your car.
It's just disgusting behavior. It ends up costing people a ridiculous amount of money to repair the damage that's caused.
The day after the tagging, Janelle says she scared away someone trying to climb over her neighbor's fence and get into the backyard.
What is going on in this neighborhood?
It's just Lord of the Flies.
Now I have 3 cameras on my house because there's been numerous different things that have happened.
Neighbors can't say whether any or all of this is connected, but do say it leaves them feeling more vulnerable than ever.
It makes me more cautious when I leave to leave for work, to let my neighbors know, to make everybody aware.
It's just excessive. It's getting out of control.
In the college area, Dave Summers, NBC 7.
And while the tagging was a hot topic on the Nextdoor Neighborhood app and got a response from the city's Get It Done app, San Diego police said they have not yet received a formal complaint.
Oh, you got to do that. I know it seems like a small thing, but if you don't report the crime, then they can just say crime is down.
If you're not going to report that kind of crime, you really better learn to love the color orange.